You see that red line going down the graph? That is a big problem for businesses or anyone who educates on YouTube right now. And it might be the reason you are getting less views and sales or just finding YouTube harder, and it's got nothing to do with the algorithm. So in this video, I'm going to show you the big views problem businesses have that's only going to get worse and how to get more views and sales using new trends that are picking up traction. All right, so what's the big problem? Well, right now there are a lot of videos on YouTube all talking about this big views crash. It's pretty unanimous that it's happened. The thing is, none of these videos are talking about the real problem for businesses. They're all saying that views are down because YouTube changed the homepage layout and shorts take up more space, meaning you have less of a chance of getting a click now, which is actually true. But the views problem for businesses isn't because YouTube changed, it's because people changed. So let me just show you what's happening. If you look here on my old channel called Film Booth, years ago, I could almost guarantee that a mistakes video would get views. Basically videos that listed mistakes, and I generated millions of views of that format, and I used to recommend that everyone made them because they were easy views. The thing is, over 2025, I worked with hundreds of businesses across all kinds of niches, and when my clients posted the same types of videos, they nearly always flopped. And this has been the same for titles starting with why, like why you can't lose weight. Now, the reason I believe this has happened is because of that graph I showed you right at the start, which is from Google Trends. What you can see on screen right now is the amount of interest on YouTube in the topic how to lose weight. Look, it's dying off. Did everyone just get really sexy and not need that advice? Or was that big drop when ChatGPT came out and suddenly people stopped coming to YouTube for certain types of education? And this isn't isolated to the fitness niche either. So I believe what's happening is certain types of education that once were easy views now just have less people wanting that because they are going to learn it first from AI. So does that mean it is game over for businesses who make sales from their free education? Well, I hate to say this, but yes, this is only going one way. So with that in mind, I didn't see the point in doing this anymore. I'm kidding. No, it's not. But this is a very serious warning to us all that things are changing and you can't just copy what used to work anymore, because what worked over 12 months ago is potentially no longer what viewers want from the platform. So instead, we need to start playing a different game. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what that game is with 4 strategies that are growing businesses almost faster than ever on YouTube. To show you how this first one works, I'm going to use this channel called Average to Jacked as an example, because he's blowing up in the fitness space, which is very competitive. It's almost completely saturated now, and I'm seeing most channels struggling a lot. To do that, I'm going to play you a very short clip from his most viewed video, and then I'm going to break down what you need to do too that helped it get traction. It's only 10 seconds long. Stick with it if you can.
I made this post a few days ago as just a simple reminder that getting in shape isn't complicated, because I don't lift 6 days a week, my workouts aren't 2 hours long, and I don't take a bunch of supplements or follow some extreme diet. Everything that I do to stay lean and jacked is simple.
But why does that intro enable him to get more views in a very crowded niche? What you need to think about is your viewers' behavior. So when someone wants to know something now, they might first ask AI a question and get 90% of the answers because it's just so quick and easy. Then they come to YouTube for a second opinion and they maybe watch 3 more videos on the topic. But because everyone is copying the same format, the same advice, the same tone and style, by the 3rd video they think, I've heard all of this before, and they leave because they don't feel like there's anything new to learn. So if you want to stop your video being the one that people click away from, you now have to make viewers think you have new information they don't know about yet. But how do you make something feel new? Well, I've got 2 tactics for you. The first is this. So look at the script from Average to Jacked. All he does is list all the things he doesn't do, which every other video on the topic is telling the viewers to do. What that does is it interrupts the pattern the viewer has built in their head from their previous research, so their brain goes, wait, what should I be doing instead? Meaning they think there is something new to learn. The thing is, this requires you to know what other videos on the topic are saying. So to do that, here's what I'd recommend. So remember at the start of this video, I showed you a bunch of videos all talking about this views crash. If my viewers have already seen them, and many will have done because they got a lot of views, then they're probably thinking they know what the problem might be. So if I don't quickly throw in a new take, they're not going to stay there. So what I did was I threw their scripts into StoryOS. This then told me what they were talking about, and I could very quickly see the pattern that they were all saying the exact same thing. Knowing this, I then addressed that and I made sure it was clear I had a different take. So to make your information feel new now, you have to work out what everyone else is repeating in your niche so you can give a new angle in your video. Now, the second strategy is working so well right now, the most viewed videos in the world in the education space from businesses are all using it. And it kind of builds on what I've just shown you. And a great example of this comes from Natalie Dawson here. So in one of her most popular videos about becoming a top 1% communicator, instead of simply saying, don't over-explain, it shows a lack of confidence, she tells the story of the first time she had to fire someone at 23, and she'd been coached to say really clear, direct sentences, but when the meeting started, she kept over-explaining how great the person was and how much she liked them. And she was talking so much that the meeting ended and she hadn't actually fired them, forcing her to come back the next week and do it properly. Now, this is powerful because AI can't generate the moment someone learned the lesson the hard way. So what happens is when you hear her story, the advice is way more memorable. It's easy to understand, and you suddenly understand why it works too. And that's the difference between sharing information and sharing lived experience, because lived experience ingrains that information in you on a deeper level. And that is what the future of YouTube is probably going to be made up of. Now, you might be thinking, Ed, that sounds like mumbo jumbo. Look at these videos, which have all blown up recently. It is literally just people sharing stories of the lessons they learned from their own personal experience. The third strategy builds on this, and it's going to give you an upper hand over AI and every other channel out there who's saying the same thing. So here's an example of how it works. So back in 2021, all the advice online was telling you to grow your channel by making videos for search. And after trying that, getting nowhere, I decided I was going to make a video calling it out and saying there's a better way. But who's going to listen to a guy who was getting 90 views per video saying all the big influencers are wrong? So instead, I started a brand new channel from scratch. I tried to get it monetized as fast as possible using a completely different strategy. And I documented the whole thing. Now, at that time, to get monetized, it was taking channels years. But my new way took me 6 weeks. And the video about it generated 3 million views. The thing is, if I just sat there and said, I think this strategy is better, no one would have cared because I gave no proof. And in the AI era, giving proof of what you are teaching actually works is critical, because if you're going to convince viewers you have new information, you need to back it up with proof that it actually works. Otherwise, they're just going to trust the pack and everyone else saying the same thing over and over again. That's why someone like Average to Jack's content works so well. He's jacked. You can literally see the proof of results on his arms. But what do you do if your channel isn't about muscles? All you need to do is share your own unique stories using visuals that prove results, like screenshots of wins, visuals of before and afters. Basically, if you make a claim, you need to show it's not made up, which brings me on to the fourth strategy that's working right now, which is going to protect your business from the views drop and still enable you to generate sales. And this is where you need to be very careful, because I just told you how to get views. But what I also recently discovered is this new way isn't really the best way for sales. So let me explain. So in 2025, I started tracking sales from my videos using my tool RevTrack. Long story short, the videos that make the most sales tend to be the ones that get the least views. What that meant was, if I doubled down on making videos in the new way, just chasing views, I might have earned a lot less. And what's strange about this is, often the step-by-step stuff, the heavier process-based content AI could potentially deliver faster, was stuff that made my business the most money. And when I thought about it, it actually kind of makes sense, because people who actually want to make a buying decision from a person don't just watch you to learn something new. They also want to see how you work, if what you say is legit, and they want to know how you lay out systems and processes to solve a solution. So you don't want to become a channel that's always trying to find new angles just for the sake of views if that's not what's making you sales. So what I do is I run 2 strategies on the same channel at the same time. Strategy 1 is just making videos to get views, where you really focus on everything I just showed you. And strategy 2 is more about appealing to those who are more serious potential buyers by showing them systems and processes that target their specific problems rather than trying to play the views game. That way, we protect our channel from slumping views, but also protect from slumping sales too. But you can't really do this unless you are tracking the links below your videos to see which of your videos are making the most income. Now, the funny thing about all of this is, when we look at making things sound new and sharing experience and sharing proof and what makes sales, the future of YouTube just looks like it's a game of sharing your own personal discoveries, as doing that ticks off every box. But how do you share a personal discovery? Well, you have to learn how to tell stories. So watch this video next, where I'm going to give you a deep dive on exactly how to do that.